Some peace in a time of war. Some peace in a time of war. Some peace in a time of political war. They say that we elect the leader to be forward and make decisions. But I never heard the policy and war discussed during an election.
Of the community. The younger generation has actually gone past the knowledge of the leadership that's been kind of in place in the community. I mean, the leadership is, I'm not criticizing and say they bad. You know, like my grandma would say, a person can only love you to the depths of their knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, if you run into certain people, if they had a hard family life, it's hard for them to express something that they don't really have, nobody ever expressed to them. So it's like, when you come to a certain understanding of life, you don't waste your time being mad at people. You really find the understanding. You know, that's when knowledge comes in place. And it's very important in the chemistry of the divine being. They say when you're a master, you're not a master because you can go on a mountain and meditate for hours and hours. They say you're a master because you can be in the middle of a city and a population of people where there's chaos and still maintain that. That's a reality. See, I know that, right? That's a reality. Like in the midst of the battle, in the midst of the war, how do you maintain the inner peace? That stillness, that calm. How can your mind still be at a point where it could be at its creative heights and not fall to the prey of the beast, where the prey of the beast is the prey of your fear, or your insecurities, or your feelings of inadequacy? How does your consciousness rise past that to where you can stand firm and no matter what's going on? How do you still those waters? See, because when you still those waters, your consciousness is projecting a force and an energy. You know, they say in the Bible, you have a statement that says, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. See, that's that realm. But it's like, how do you get to that realm? There's been a post that's been on Facebook, Instagram, that kind of leads up into this. And I'll break it down all the way. The post was saying, if you got plantation masters praying to God and slaves praying to God, right? Who is God going to answer? You know, if the slaves praying for God to bring judgment on the plantation master, and the plantation master praying to God to hold the slaves under him and make them good servants to him, you know, and both people are supposed to be praying to the same God, but, you know, how does God, who prayers does God answer? And the question is, if you the slave side, and you've been losing all this time, and it seems that you ain't really still in 2014 become empowered where you can even defend yourself. 2014 where you still feel powerless and feel like, really, guess what, we got a black president, but I still don't feel like we got any hope. That's a statement, you know.
It's true, though.
You know, even though you have a black president and all these black police and chiefs and mayors, to the average young black person,
ain't nothing changed.
Bruh, my struggle's still here.
That's right.
So it's like, now you saying that if this is the force that's trod through your neighborhoods, through your community, through your brothers, through your sisters, see, they had an unrest. Right? They had an unrest. So if you say, okay, I'm Black Messiah. Messiah means self-savior. That's 19. That's the mystery number. And then you read the final call. If you ever buy the final call from the Nation of Islam, they have a section called the mystery number 19. The mystery number 19 goes to Surah 19. Surah 19 is Miriam, Mary. That's a very important concept because when we go through the build, you will understand why that 19 and Mary go together. But now when you say, okay, well, this force is going through your people where they still feel like there's no hope, they still have not found that inner peace. So that means that your people are being consumed. You know that? God say if you're not happy, then you blue. If you're not happy, you blue. Right. People really ain't happy. Even though when we go to the club, we try to forget. We try to drink to forget. That's called medicating. That's what our culture mostly reflects. A medicative lifestyle. Right? A cover over. Because something is wrong. That's what our whole culture represents. Correct?
Yes.
I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. So now if you see this is the energy sweeping through your community, sweeping through your brothers and sisters, then you say, okay, well, guess what? That means my brothers and sisters are not at peace. That means if they're not at peace, they are at dis-ease. Dis-ease. Dr. Jewel Pookrum, go on YouTube. Please follow her. Especially sisters. If you want to understand your full nature and everything that you can learn, Dr. Jewel Pookrum. Pookrum. Pook, P-O-O-K-R-U-M, rum. That's rum, right? Pookrum. Dr. Jewel Pookrum. She's a doctor for real, gynecologist. She doesn't do surgery. She knows how to teach you to heal yourself. Now, and she's phenomenal. When you speak, you're going to say, that's a goddess on earth, for real. Like, you're going to know it. Yeah, you're going to know it. You're going to know she's awake. So, when you see this dis-ease going through your community, that means that our community is diseased. Right? Disease. Now, our enemy is showing us signs and symbols, right? They gave us a Caduceus symbol. They say that's the medical symbol, right? That's the symbol for healing. But we don't understand that that symbol came from us. Correct? But in our concept, the serpent is evil. But they put it on the medical symbol as a key to healing. Correct?
Yeah.
Now that's a subliminal message to you that you should catch. That we are taught subliminally that the serpent is evil. But they turned around on the medical symbol and told you that the symbol represents healing. Now, some people can say that's a duality because the medical system of America really is poisonous. You know what I'm saying? It really is. You know, so some people say it's a duality, and I would say you're correct, because that would be what we would call the Set and Heru. That's the duality. That's the Cain and Abel. The Cain and Abel, the Set and Heru. That's the duality. Because symbolism is a dimensional reflective world. What's on one side of the equal sign is on the other side of the equal sign, right? Yeah. So you say there's the balance and forces of the balance in nature, correct? See, I'm kind of build you in there, but now if you say this disease is in your community, right? Now I'm gonna speak to you all as though as you all represent as black messiahs, because to me you are. If you took a step to acquire knowledge, that's a black messiah. Because you have took the step to save yourself. My people perish due to a lack of knowledge. So if somebody decides I'm not going to perish no more. I'm not going to be consumed by this disease. Right? Most of the disease is because you don't know. When you don't know, you are placed in fear. Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Fear. How many of you have been in jail? See, if you've been in jail, like, because they done paint this whole story and you don't know, when you get ready to go through them doors, see, that's when the fear hits you, because you're saying, I don't know if this is, well, I hope this ain't like the movies and I got to fight somebody at night and trying to stab me. You know, because you don't know how it is. When you go to make that step, that leg might do a little like, oh. So that's how your life is. Your life is not strong steps, right? Because you at disease, you don't know. So if you at disease, you don't know, you're not at peace. Correct?
That's right.
Now I keep saying this because I'm going to give you terminology that comes back around. In Kemet, they say Hotep, right? You hear a lot of brothers today say Hotep, brother. Hotep. Hotep means peace. You had many of the divine beings, or a lot of the elders that took the attribute of Imhotep, right? Imhotep, right? A lot of people say Hotep, but Hotep meant peace. But when you go to the Quran tells you that Islam, which means peace, right? Islam means peace, correct? Well, we'll say it in both things because we use universal knowledge. So your piece is I self, Lord. But if you're not the master, then you are the
Slave.
Okay, so if you operating in a slave capacity, you can never have Islam. Right? So when we say you can, Moors, you know, we use universal studies, so we're going to say Moorish science, temple studies, 5%, Nation of Islam, Hebrew Israelite, we'll break it all down. We're going to deal with it. But we are not using them as a division, we use them in a unification. Meaning we understand all of them are teaching you one and the same story, which is the science of your life and who you are. So the people who are foolish divides the book. Because see, he who knows one book knows none. Right? So if you understand the sum of all the books is one, right? Then you have come to an entirety of knowledge that can allow you to move forward in this creation. But if you say, I'm right here and that's all I need. See, already you done blind yourself because it's just like elements in nature. That's like saying all I need is air. But you never drink water. Correct?
True.
All I need is air, but you never drink water. What will happen? You ain't drunk water yet. Now you're getting some water in your lungs through the air, but it's not enough to run the functions of your body. Correct? It's not enough to run the functions of your body. Correct? So that's just like knowledge. You could get some, but it's going to give you a component, but you're going to need a complete component of knowledge to run the functions of your being. See, because once you become disseminated, you disseminated yourself from your own heritage. That way then you cutting yourself from your own truth. Correct? So now when we say that Islam represents the nature, because the Quran says Islam nature, that means your nature is peace. Right? So the symbol of peace, the symbolism of peace, is all through the scriptures. Because the symbolism of peace is the symbolism of your nature. You understand that? Right? Because now if you say you want to enter into the holy rest, right? They should not enter into the rest. Only those should enter into the rest. So if you come into the rest, you coming into what? The peace. Right? They, in the Quran it says that they shall enter into gardens, right? Gardens with silk pillows and this and that. They telling you entering into a realm of peace, right? And why do they say the gardens? Now I'm giving you the building up now. Y'all got to keep up with me. Why does the Quran say the gardens? Now what is the garden known for? The garden is known for based on holy scriptures. What is the garden known for?
Paradise.
Huh?
Fruit.
What's the garden known for in the holy scriptures?
Cultivation.
Creation. What else about creation? It's the original habitation of man and woman. You understand that? See, that's symbolic. That's not a place. The original habitation is your original habit, your original what? Nature. See, my original habitation is this being. This is my earth. Right? I take back my earth. Right? God's and earths. Right? Because we understood that the earth was the feminine principle, which is Mother Nature. Correct? So in the 5%, right? 10% keeping the people what? Blind, deaf, and alright. 85% of the people are blind, deaf, and right? But there's 5%, which is the poor righteous teachers that are trying to awaken people so that they're not blind, deaf, and dumb.
That's right.
You understand that? See, we use 5%, right? Why is 5%? Why 5? Why 5? Because see, then they also say the 5-point star too, right? But what that mean? What's the 5-point star? Huh? Okay. Say it again.
Arm, leg, arm, head.
Okay, so we keeping up with symbolism. But y'all have heard that before, right?
No.
You've never heard that.
Arm, leg, arm.
That's a lot. Arm, look, arm, leg, arm, head. A-L-L. Okay. Alright. So we understand that the symbolism is directing us to a facet of thought. See, what most people say that when they read the Egyptian Book of the Dead, see, you're not reading to get an answer, you're reading for a thought pattern.
That's right.
See, you can't read it if your dimensional thoughts is still here. once your thought pattern understands the dimensions of your being, then when you read the meta-netta, you see the dimensions within the meta-netta. You understand that? So it's like people have gone back and tried to say, I'm going to go back into the meta-neta. People are like, man, I read it, but, you know, Bill, Kate, you know, what? Shit. I'm lost. The underworld, few of them, right? But if you understand, I'm going to give you a basic symbolism so we kind of get it. I'm going to tell you what Amit is, right? I'm going to give you a description. Y'all know what Amit is, right?
No.
The beast, right? Judgment. You know what? The scale. The scale. Right? The heart. The heart is on the scale. But the heart must be what?
Light as a feather.
Light as a feather. Now, listen now, because what we're about to do is we're about to go all the way in because I'm taking you back to where we started from because I said I wish you was present at the meeting.
Yes.
Because at the meeting you had what we called the black chief of police. You had several other people when we had at the meeting, and that represented black leadership. And what I say to you is when we sitting at the meeting, you know, we was dealing with time schedules and stuff, so we kind of a little pushy, you know, we hit a little questions. But I'll say this, is that it was said at the meeting, it was vocalized, that the state of knowledge and the state of the consciousness of the young people has surpassed the past generation of leadership. And it's like, I'm going to say it to you because I need y'all to all be consciously aware and know how to articulate this. Y'all understand this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is a lesson that you have to be able to understand, and I want you to understand it from your being. I don't want you to gurgitate it. I want you to be able to articulate it from your being and understand this. Yes. That our elders, they in place went through civil rights fighting so that we can have a liberated effort to come to the knowledge of self and then make the next step of making that our liberated step. You understand? See, civil rights was to only get us to the point where we could survive to cultivate our reality. But many of the elders and the leaders are still trying to hold us in a civil rights movement, right? But we are actually past civil rights because if they deal with the 7, right? Because we're going to deal with the 7. I'm going to Kwanzaa for you. Because we're going to liberate all. We're going to deal with Kwanzaa. Because if I say Habaganya, I want y'all to say Kuji Jakalia. Who know what Kuji Jakalia means? Self-determination. Right? What that mean?
Do for yourself.
Huh?
Do for you.
What does that mean? Huh?
To define yourself.
To define yourself. See, that's a liberated effort. See that the slave fought for the rights to educate itself so that he could find itself in the rubble that the enemy had created, the ashes of slavery. But he has to be birthed out of that. And from that point, he goes to where it calls to self-definition. That's why at this point in time, you have a generation saying they're dealing with sovereignty. They're dealing with melanin. They're dealing with the 7 chakras. They're dealing with a whole nother science that didn't come in the old school. But we found it because the old school gave us the right to educate ourselves on it. But at this point in time, it's like they think that that was the depths of where we were supposed to go at. Where we would want to just become officials in the government that has policies in place that are not for us.
That's right.
They are not our definition of self.
That's right.
Their education system is not our definition of self. So you have a generation that's coming up and they're redefining. You're redefining.
That's right.
Brothers don't want to say I'm black no more. But I'm a Mo.
Yeah.
I ain't Negro, black, or color.
I want more.
See, they want self-definition away from their oppressor. And so the educated capacity of that liberation is what's been birthed. But the elders are reluctant to see their own work. They see it as a threat to their establishment. Brother, we established these churches. Brothers, we established these institutions on the principles of Jesus Christ. But you established on the principles of Jesus Christ based on somebody else's definition. and we don't want no part of it.
That's right.
It's not defining us, because we know the definitions within their system keeps us where we never experience our peace, our true nature. Their health system is not for our nature. We know that. That is a fact. We have elders that will not remove that from the system. They won't challenge it. Their dietary plan does not operate with us. We know that. That's scientifically proven by all of our scholars that have come up over the years. But the elders that are in leadership will not challenge the education system that our children can't eat the same diet that you've been placing on the educational dietary plan for years. That's not part of our genetical makeup. But our elders won't come to that point. So you say, well, if they won't accept that and won't move to that point, so then what happens is then you got where instead of we have movement, we have a collision between the young and the old, and the defining of a new tomorrow, and those trying to hold on to a past institution that is founded in the definitions of self based on an enemy. See, we talked about the other day about battlefields, and understanding that if the enemy is on that side of the battlefield and you on this side of the battlefield, that the enemy describes the battlefield from his advantage point. So if the enemy gives you a definition of yourself, you understand that? If the enemy gives you a definition of yourself, he is giving you a definition of yourself and your nature from the advantage of his battlefield position, so that he can hold the high ground and you stay on the low ground. So that he can always take you out when he gets ready to. So the young say, you know what? I ain't playing that duck game no more. I ain't gonna just be the... And when he get ready to bust, he could just bust me. So we understood that these people will kill us with diseases. See, we ain't foolish no more. We ain't like the elders trying to act like they don't know that people did Tuskegee experiment and AIDS. The preachers won't even say it. They in the church worrying about homosexuality. Talk about the government created disease in the laboratory, and the black people need to march up to Washington together and say, guess what, Obama? You need to goddamn tell them people get all that shit out the lab and burn that shit. And if any more of this shit get out, we'll burn this goddamn country down about that shit for real. That's what they really need to be saying, because you're assassinating millions of people and ain't nobody saying nothing that's in leadership. So the young people say, you know what? We understand that they are committing chemical atrocities against us. They're in the laboratories designing diseases to implant into us. So what do? Guess what we do? We learn that you must alkaline your body. You must respect your melanated nature. So the young generation then starts understanding that I'm going to have to deal with the science of my nature to combat my enemy. I can't let my elders define me within the advantage point of my enemy no more. Because if I allow them to define me in the advantage point of my enemy, then my enemy can take me out when they get ready. Huh? Correct? Y'all understand that? True. So you have a younger generation that has been moving forward in a different component of knowledge. And in this different component of knowledge, you got a lot of black young preachers. Black pimp preachers. Now I tell you, I ain't no preacher. I'm not no monk. I'm a thug. I tell you off the rip. And I tell you that the definition of a thug is one who just their natural genetical instinct makes them rebel against the system. Because you were supposed to do that to remain mentally free. It's an atrocity. The hell that we have to go through in that level of life. See, I did 14 years federal prison. Did a little 12 years, 11 years, 8 months, came back out, and sent me back to prison for 3 more years. Came back in, so I left out damn near 14, 15 years of my life. Did one. Right? But it's an atrocity, but what happens is you stay mentally free. It hurts because you're in a war, because you're trying to find where you fit at in the system. You're trying to find where you fit at in life. So me going through that and watching all these young brothers, I'm going through the county jails, I'm watching all young brothers, everybody in an identity crisis. Everybody trying to figure out how I fit in this plan, but my nature says I ain't supposed to be. So all of them is like stuck in this in-between world. And they wrestling with something. You know, and when I really started paying attention, I started realizing, you know, that there was a metaphysical message that had been transcended down the lines that actually had symbolically reflected this. Some people say Ezekiel wake up the dry bones, but I don't call it that. I say it's Jacob wrestling with an angel. I say it's Jacob wrestling with an angel. Y'all understand that? So, let me break this all the way down for you with Jacob wrestling with an angel so you understand. The elders have the theological beliefs that have left us in a docile nature. But we've always said in our ongoings of church that faith without works is what? Dead. So somebody gave us a faith, but they didn't tell us how to do the works. See, because we thought the works was going around to get somebody else in the faith. Damn works. Because you still dead. Because you just got somebody else in faith, but they don't know what to do. You went around, but we still dead. Right? So really what it becomes is like a lullaby song. Y'all kind of with me now? Do y'all understand that? What it becomes is a lullaby song. And if everybody starts singing the lullaby song, what will happen to the masses of the people? So they go. So this is really what the science of religion started to perpetuate based on the concept of faith. Right? But our ancestors never taught us faith. Our ancestors never taught us faith. They taught us metaphysic, the living word, nature, netaru, nature, netaru, right? The neta, the gods, the element of the gods, right? So they taught us the science of nature because they knew, now I keep stressing this and you will always hear me say this, they told you that no matter what you go through, what was on the temple walls, what was on the temple doors, was no matter what you go through, if you have knowledge of self, you'll be alright. See now, if you don't have no knowledge of self, right? Let's do this. What's self? What is self?
Which one? I have a higher and a lower self.
Okay, that's
I guess.
so you understand the nature of self. You understand the nature of self. So you know self is not merely who you perceive yourself to be as. I'm Naja, I like to eat this, and I eat this, and oh, I know what I like, and I like this color, and that. So that's not really self. Right? That's a personification of self based on the definition of perception of how you have to move through in this hologram, right? But self, based on you knowing the knowledge of self, self is really what?
Self is something.
If there was nothing but the Creator in the beginning, and the Creator created everything, what did the Creator create everything out of? The Creator. So the Creator created everything out of the creative force. So the essence of you really is your God nature. You are a creative force. You are a creative being. Right? You can create hell or you can create heaven. Now, if somebody understands that science of yourself, right? But they make your mind blank all of that. Now your mind white, you understand it. But they know that. So they know if they could dictate your mind and keep you to the certain, that you could project a reality that would keep you in a state of what? Hell. Or what they call oppression. Because if I shut your mind down, listen what happens now. If I shut your mind down to where you have no knowledge of yourself, right? Islam is what? Islam is what is your what?
Nature.
Your nature. But if you have no knowledge of your nature, see, because you perceive your nature based on what you're going through in life. Hold up. You perceive your nature based on what you're going through in life.
Is that backwards?
Do you perceive your nature based on what you're going through in life?
No. You should.
I'm not supposed to.
Huh? Do you perceive your nature based on what's going on in life?
No.
No, I don't.
You
No.
shouldn't.
Most people do. And if you said you don't, you lie. I do. Everybody in here does. Most people see their nature based on what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
Yes. 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 When you were a little boy, everything that you defined yourself on what was based on what was going on in your life. Who you think you are now is based on definitions you acquired as a little boy based on what you thought was going on in life. And right now, a lot of things you do right now is based on what you thought was going on in life that might not really be going on. See, what you think is going on in life is not really what's going on in life. Do you catch out? See, I'm about to give you a parable, but you got to catch it. Because many of you think you know what's going on in life, so you perceive your nature and yourself based on what you think is going on in life. Kind of understand that? I don't know if you kind of hear me.
I got you.
See, because when you're a child, you perceive what you think is going on in life. And you start to develop your character from that point. Now, if you tell me you ain't got none of that character from childhood that you developed to survive, then you lying. Because all of you still carrying that little child, that first pain, that first hurt. Many of you, and I tell you, don't take this as degrading and nasty. But I'm going to teach you some science with some nasty shit. I'm going to give you some science with some nasty shit. When your mom and daddy first started making you eat meat, because you didn't eat meat from a baby, right?
Right.
When you first started eating meat, there came a time in your life, in your childhood, that goddamn shit got stuck in your ass and you couldn't shit and it hurt you. And that's when you started shitting like this. Because for real, you shouldn't be balled up shitting. But because of some pain, every time you sit on the toilet, you crunch first because you got to check to make sure that old time pain is not about to come back. And you still do it today. You still do it today. That ain't no lie. I had to tell my sons, hey, you ain't got to do all that. You watching another child. You ain't never ate me. I know that they hurt all out. You have to sit up. Don't stop balling up your stomach like other people. Right? Because for real, you're supposed to have your feet on the edge of it and you're supposed to use the bathroom like this. But see, the European has taught us how to eat like this and shit like this. How can your body digest food and food in the same position? It can't do it. You training your body incorrectly. But you do it. Because based on things that you thought was going on and what was supposed to be correct, you developed your nature. Huh? You wasn't supposed to be sitting on the toilet hurting. That's lifetime of torture. You think about it, the creator just say people would stop eating. Man, I don't even want to go through that shit all the time. why you want your brother? That's not right. The creator, you're supposed to be at peace. So something is wrong, right? You know that. Well, why didn't you figure it out? Huh? Why didn't you figure it out? Everybody know it. Why didn't we figure it out? Because the leadership says that's irrelevant. Just have faith in God and everything will be alright. Man, I can't shit. Huh? You people like this. That's why I do herbs. So a lot of people come to me and they say, man, I said, I understand. I know half of the problems, what it is. Because right there, that's where it is. Guess why it's there? Guess why it's there? Guess why it's there? Guess why it's there? See, now you go back to your science. See, because the leadership, they ain't going to teach you the science. Right? Know what? Because the science requires them to change. You understand? The science requires them to say, brother, for years I've been incorrect. See, that's the removal of ego, that they say they're spiritual leaders, but they can't do it.
They can't let go of emotion either.
They can't do it. They don't want to come back and say, for years I was a little bit incorrect. See, and then when the younger people come to a certain amount of knowledge, this is why I was looking at the elders the other night, right? Because they kept making a statement. And I'm going to go all the way on the topic for you, but I have to keep going there because I want you to understand. Because the elders kept saying, well, y'all don't understand the law, and y'all need to do this. And I thought about it. I said, well, they kind of correct, but they kind of wrong. See, because this younger generation been going in and out the county jails and the prisons for years. So they kind of been researching the law. And they've been realizing that a lot of shit that y'all been going for ain't supposed to be going. So now they realize that, guess what? Y'all keep talking like y'all got knowledge, but y'all ain't studied shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all just trying to be comfortable with the system. See, so now when the younger people read this, they say, hold up, man. This ain't right here, man. Man, all this law just they just flip this whole thing and they just been doing all this. And these people keep just telling me, I have faith, man. So now the younger people looking at the older leadership and they saying, man, y'all don't care. So what it does is it hinders. And it stops the cultivation of the people that really need it right now. Really need it. Because our leadership don't want to accept that we're under a serious attack. Listen, and I keep telling you this and this, and you can. I want you to study this and I want you to learn this now. I tell the brothers and sisters, this is the age of Het Heru. In the age of Het Heru, Het means house. Heru means hero. The house of the hero. So if this is the house of the hero, this is the age of the house of the hero, many people think that means that a hero, one hero is coming. But that's not what it means. Now remember what I told you now. Our ancestors taught us about science and taught us about nature. Right? Yep. So ages reflected cycles in nature. Y'all with me? So ages and names and personifications represented cycles in nature. And we are entering into a cycle in nature which is called the age of Het Heru. Meaning that this house, this physical nature, is starting to awaken its Heru. Its Heru represents the hero. That's where the word hero comes from. Hero, horizon, chorus. Horizon means what? What is horizon? Horizon is what? A rising what? A rising sun. Right? You were taught that the rising sun is the sun coming what? Out of the grave. That's the Christ. Y'all kind of with it? You were taught that that represents the sun, the Christ coming out of the grave. That's horizon. That's Horus. The rising sun. The sun. Right? That's Amun Ra. This is what I'm about to explain to you. That's Amun Ra. This is what I'm about to explain to you. That is Amun Ra. Amun Ra, right, is the hidden sun. Now I told you, I said I'm a thug. Thug is truth, right? Yeah. But it's the true, hidden, universal God. That's the hidden element. God within you is the hidden element. Hidden within the stories of the scriptures is the science of the God within you. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. I'm going to start with Genesis so that I can get you to understand. Het Heru, right? Het Heru is the house of Heru, the house of the house of Horus, the house of Heru, meaning that you're the house of the hero. In Christianity, they say what?
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem. Beth means what?
House.
House. House of what?
Bread.
House of bread. That's what's in Bethlehem. Right?
Yep.
But listen now, Bethlehem. But you'll say Bethlehem, 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 Bethlehem. Right? What happens is that's Ham, that's Cam, that's the black one, right? That's the house of bread. But bread represented the flesh. See, I'm glad that y'all know the sign, because then that means if you know that the bread means the flesh, that means the word. But the word, what? The word was with God and the word became flesh. Right? So now what they're telling you about is a house of a certain flesh, right? And this is where the Christ is born at. Y'all got it? You understand that? So now when we say Het Heru, we are saying the same thing. This is the house of the hero. And this is where the hero, the Christ self, the Savior, self-Savior, is born at. But this is a time period in which the cycles of nature, based on the photonic belt, right? Y'all know we coming in closer. They realizing that this solar system is rotating in a bigger thing, and it's coming near a second sun, which is a greater sun, right? So now we entering back into a position astrologically, right? That represents a different frequency of energy that we used to be in at a different point in time. And that this energy, right, starts to affect the melanated being in a certain way. Now, what happens is, these astrological positions, our elders didn't make us study. Because according to Christianity, Islam, and all them things, that's astaghfirullah, that's paganism, and all of this. But they tell us that the time changed, and the hour go back, and we changed our whole lifestyle, everything on that. But the preacher ain't saying, no, we're not following that. We're going to keep following the way of God till God tells us the time change, right? But so you're following astronomers and stargazers, and they're telling you to do something, but you ain't questioning if their direction is in line with the direction which the Creator aligns you in. Right? Right? Okay. So what happens is, when you understand this or overstand this, you realize that your enemy overstands time periods and cycles. And he overstands the cycles based on what it could possibly, I say possibly, do with the melanated being if they in line with the frequency. Y'all understand it? Like, I'm trying to make it simple. So if your enemy kind of understand this, right?
Yes.
His component of attack becomes more severe at a certain point in time. And you have to recognize it. Because he's really letting you know this your time. See, now, your perception of who you are based on what you think going on in nature. Right? So at your perception of who you are at this point in time, or perception of what you think going on in nature, we started perceiving ourselves as victims. Huh? See, but they so crazy that they don't even understand that if you kill a brother at this point in time in this cycle of energy, well, you're releasing a hell of a melanated energy back into the force that has a rage and a spirit of liberation, and you done let him go to a full form that he might activate somebody else. Y'all can understand that? So it's like, it's your perception of where we at in the picture. You start to develop your nature on it. Right? But now, if you start to develop your nature based on, you say, okay, we in the time period of Het Heru. Okay, well, brother Lab, what does Het Heru mean, and how can we close, and how do we build off of that? How do we understand that? Well, we say that the ancestors taught us, well, our elders have been teaching us to have faith. And we say faith without works is dead. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And we said that our nature is peace. But within us, we really don't have peace. But we said that a true master can be on a mountaintop and meditate for hours and be at peace. But a real master can go in the midst of the battlefield and the war and still remain at peace because they understand or overstand their nature. Right? Right? See, so if you know that your nature is a dominating nature and that nature is calling forth your nature, right? You could be at peace. And you can move forth with the works that's necessary for you to align yourself with that frequency. Y'all understand? That's really what I want you to understand. Like, this is why you learning. Like, it don't make no sense to start a study and say, okay, you learn this, but you have to really understand why you learning. Because your learning is a battlefield defense. You are the last defense mechanism for your people. Y'all understand that?
Yes, I.
Like, you know, it's like, I take the story of the Maccabees, and I like to give that because the Maccabees had to go in caves and stuff around Damascus, or what they call Bashan or Jerusalem, where some people like to say Jerusalem, right? Because the H and the J in Latin is interchangeable. And you know, the Bible went through a Latin diction. So originally it wouldn't be Jerusalem, it would be Jerusalem.
That's right.
Jeru's peace. Because Salem was peace, right? So it was Jeru's city of peace, which the people who said that was the holy city. But it didn't represent a city, it represented the nature of people. Right? Y'all with me? So it's like in those times when that city had got bum rushed, right? There was groups of people that had to go up into the mountains and into the hills and try to orchestrate and build what they had called themselves Maccabees. And that they had the concept of everyone was a Messiah too. Right? But they had to go on the hills and they had to educate the people and initiate them into a certain knowledge so that they could prepare to be defenders in the forefront of the battle against the enemy. Now, what does that mean? At that time period, what I'm saying, I'm giving you a time period, right? And this time period is what they call, you have the Hasmonean dynasty in the time, or right around the time of Barnard, which really you coming up with what would be 6 BC and, well, really, yeah, 6 AD. You know, because he's supposed to have been born, but it comes out to, well, whatever, 6 AD. It's like 6 AD, and then you come up to this time period where you got a group of people that's there, they call them Hasmoneans. But out of this Hasmoneans, they have a group of people called Essenes, right? Essenes. Now I'm getting back to it now. But when you came into Christianity, you never have heard about Essenes. This is called where I teach you how to study, but I'm going to give you another line of studying to look up. Now the Essenes were also associated with the people that were called Nazarenes. Okay. Right? They put them together. The best book to get is The 16 Crucified Saviors. That's Godfrey Higgins. I can't remember who wrote it. I think it's Godfrey Higgins. I know 16 Crucified Saviors, and they have a subject in there where they explain to you that the Essenes were actually called Nazarenes too, but they also were the people that created what would become later on most of the concepts of Buddhism and yoga too in India.
Right.
These became the traveling masters, the 9 monks that went all up to China and Tibet. Y'all understand that? Y'all kind of with me?
Yeah.
All right. So arts, what I'm trying to introduce you to, arts of healing and science have been perpetuated by a group of people throughout the planet that will teach the people healing arts, right? So the Chinese, they came in a lot of herbs and a lot of sciences. The Hindu, the Buddhists, which would be the Tibet and the India, came into a lot of science, but they've been getting it from the Sanskrits because the Ethiopian and the India always had a connection, correct? So in these places, you got a lot of these arts. But these Essenes are also called the healers. Y'all with me? So the Essenes were also called the healers. And they have an order that later on Europeans took and they called it the White Brotherhood or the Order of Melchizedek. And then they considered the Order of Melchizedek, and the European then took it further and they started calling themselves Rosicrucians, the Rose of the Cross, or the Christ consciousness. They were dealing with the Christ consciousness. But when you went into their orders, you started figuring out that they were mixing Christianity and Kemetic knowledge, Egyptian knowledge. See, but now they were teaching you not to mix this. Y'all understand this? While they were in the back room starting what they would call Rosicrucian knowledge, but then they were trying to learn alchemy. And they were trying to learn healing arts. Right? So they understood that the Holy Scriptures was a science. Y'all kind of with me still? So they understood that the Holy Scriptures was a science. And they were studying and trying to learn the science. Now our elders were just telling us to have faith. But our ancestors told us to be scientists. Master scientists. So when the Nation of Islam came on and they started telling people about the 24 master scientists and the 24 elders, it blew a lot of black people away. They said, boy, that boy coming some deep. They come like Yaqub was a master scientist and he got there and taught Yaqub. And he taught Farad and taught Farad this. And so a lot of brothers said, well, damn, Farad. And he had his daddy was a master scientist, one of the 24 elders, and this was the science. So now it's like, damn, perceive us as the 24 elders, master scientists on the planet. So our perception of ourselves on the planet was placed at a lower level because we still was looking at how the Europeans said we supposed to have a bone in the nose in the jungle. So now you talking about master scientists. So it was like we were cut off. Right? So once we cut off, we perceived that we didn't understand the scientist concept. Now, in Black science, we have a term, and I have to use this term. It's called asafo. Now, there's a book by, I hate to say it, brother named Muali Baruti. The institution is Okobian Institute. He's in Atlanta. He's a powerful author. He has a book called Asafo. A-S-A-F-O. I have a copy of the book. A brother is reading it. I will give it to you to let him read. It is a book called A Warrior's Guide to Manhood. Now, even though it's saying A Warrior's Guide to Manhood, sisters should read it. Because it's what we use as what's called a rites of passage. To teach brothers a different thought pattern. To teach brothers a thought pattern of a defender of their nation and the defender of their institutes of thought, right? Because we're talking about self-determination. So when we talk about self-determination, I'm going to go through this real fast and we're going to close out. When we talk about self-determination, we're talking about first the formulation of a thought pattern. Because you cannot heal until the mind starts to heal. So what has tricked the mind into a form of disease must be met head on. Right? Correct? Now you hear me keep saying this. To overcome a force, you must come with a greater force or equal force. So if the first form of disease was done to our people was the trickery of what is called history, you must meet that head on.
I see.
Right? Now, you can't be tenderfoot for no religion. Right?
That's right.
But you don't have to destroy a religion.
Got you.
You don't have to be tenderfoot for no religion and understand our story. But you don't have to destroy a religion. You can understand the position of that religion in the evolution of us finding ourselves after the chaos. Y'all understand that? Now I'll say it quickly. This is the chaos, brothers and sisters. You just linked me on Instagram with the post, and I'll say this in the beginning, and I say this every time. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. I'll go real fast for you, and we use this science. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. Always remember this. We use supreme mathematics. We use Yoruba. We use Nation Islam. We use Rasta. We use everything. We use Hebrew Israelite, Asar, Aset, because you will hear us say most of the Kemet. Right? So these people in the back room, they're studying alchemy, they're studying the science, right? They're studying your nature. They're trying to understand nature from your ancient thought pattern while they make you afraid to study nature from your ancient thought pattern, right? I'll give you one more book while I pull this paper out. Ancient Futures by Chandler, what's his name? Wayne Chandler, Wayne B. Chandler. Ancient Futures by Wayne B. Chandler. Now, if you want to understand the photon belt and where we're entering, and they talk about the polar shift and how the planet before went through several polar shifts. Y'all understand that? So where we think the planet is at now, the polar shift came about. Now I said a statement that I was going to show you Ammit, right? Or I was going to show you the beats, right? And I was going to explain something to you. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, let us create man in our image and likeness. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, let us create man in our image and likeness. 1 plus 2 plus 6 equals 9. 1 plus 2 plus 6 equals 9 is the number for born. Supreme mathematics. 9 is the number for born. Born is always a feminine principle, right? 9 is the number of completion. There is only 0 through what? 9. Everything else is a what?
Repeat.
A repeat. Right? But there's 0 through 9, but that means there's how many numbers?
10.
Okay, so now you got 9 and 10. 9 plus 10 equals what? Okay, keep up now because it's not by accident. You understand? It's not by accident. There's a cipher before you, but you have to learn to see the cipher. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. You have one brain and 26 vertebrae. You have one brain and 26 vertebrae. You don't believe me, just go look it up. Some people try to say it's 34 and 33. But if you deal, you find it's only 26. When you deal with 34, 34 is the number for Allah. If you add up Allah, A-L-L-A-H is 34. Right? When you deal with G-O-D, right? When you deal with G-O-D, G-O-D is 7 plus 15 plus 4. The 7th letter is G, O is the 15th letter, and D is the 4th letter. Supreme mathematics, 7 plus 15 plus 4 is 26, right? 26 is wisdom of your, 6 is equality. Wisdom of your equality. Now, wisdom is feminine, right? Wisdom is feminine. Listen now, wisdom of your equality. Wisdom of your equality. Now, in Proverbs, they say wisdom hews out her 7 pillars. Listen now, in Proverbs, they say wisdom hews out her 7 pillars. Wisdom hews out her 7 pillars. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26 says, let us. They say us. But I told you time and time again, you can go through all of your Hebrew Israelite teachers. You can go through Malachi York. You can go through Elijah Muhammad. You can go through all the schools of thought. They tell you that the us was a Hebrew word that meant Elohim. Elohim is plural. Elo is singular. Eloh is singular. E-L-O-H-E. That's Eloh. Elohim is E-L-O-H-E-E-M. Elohim. So the Elohim was plural, but in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, the plural for Elohim was supposed to be 7. It was the 7 angelical spirits sent forth into all the earth. The 7 spirits, the 7 eyes, the 7 candlesticks, right? The 7 churches, right? Y'all understand that, right? Y'all with me? But in Kemet, these 7 spirits, these 7 candlesticks, these 7 eyes, these 7 angels, right? Because I'm saying angels, right? Gabriel, Raphael, Michael, you know, they used to give us them 7 main angels, right? Those supposed to be 7 main angels, and that was supposed to be the Elohim. But these 7 angels was called angelos in Greek, but they changed it because it wasn't originally angelo, it was theos, meaning it was the 7 gods. Meaning that the word gods, because you would think gods, and you get say, well, that's the 7 gods. But our ancestors called it the 7 netaru, or the 7 netters, right? Or the 7 natures of man. Y'all with me now? So our ancestors taught us that man has 7 bodies, right? Man has how many bodies? 7. So man has 7 bodies. Not only does it have 7 bodies, but the bodies are divided up in what you call your triune, right? Which is your what?
Trinity.
Higher nature. Your triune. Then you have what is called your 4, which is considered your lower nature. So now we say the ancestors taught us by Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. Let us create man in our image and likeness. But us is Elohim, meaning plural. So we understand that the plural, when they first did the Elohim, it was the 7. So when we understand it was the 7 angelos, or the 7 angels, but it wasn't angels, it was theos, meaning gods, meaning 7 netaru, or 7 neturs, or the 7 God forms, the 7 natures of man. Even in the Quran, it says man was created, what? 7. Right? So Christianity and Islam both have your science of your nature hidden in it. Right? Faith without works is dead. But now let's say you got craft. Right? Man, did I get that book back? Oh man, I'm supposed to have this book right now. But I'm going to say it out of my head, right? Because I want you to think about it. Because I'm going to read it. I'm going to make it. Some of you have a copy of it, and it just hit me. In the Sanskrits, right? and this is where we at now. In the Sanskrit text, y'all know what the Sanskrit is, right? Sanskrit is some of the oldest texts on the planet. Y'all know that, right? They really can't date them. But the Sanskrits go back to the Puranas, or goes back in the Hindu things where they even automatically tell you that's Kush the Whipper. Listen to what I'm saying. That's Kush the Whipper, which became Hindus Kush Mountains and stuff like that. Right? The Kush the Whipper was the Kushite lineage, right?
Yes.
That's the Kushite lineage that was in India. They had called them the gods, the devas, the diva, right? So what happens is the Sanskrits come from these ancient texts. And in the Sanskrit's ancient texts, they talk about a meteorite shower.
Right.
Now this is a trip now. Listen to what I'm about to tell you now. In the meteorite shower in the Sanskrit, they tell you about the meteorite shower, but then they tell you that there were those that was trapped there and they couldn't activate their ships. Y'all understand that? They talking about it was a meteorite shower, and they say there were those that couldn't activate their ships. So they had to go like what's called the underground cities of the earth. And then you heard of Gotha, Shambhala, right? So in the Sanskrit, they talk about this ancient time period.
During an election, it seemed that war is something over which people have no prevention. But the people want it anyway, and so they elect some destruction.
So that means knowledge is faith, but works is applying that which you know. See, so then when knowledge and wisdom come together, see, that's love. See, what happens is when they taught us faith, they never taught us love. You see what I'm saying? They never taught us a complete cycle. They kept us over here and say, just have knowledge in the scripture, but never know how to work it. You see what I'm saying? So if I never know how to work it, see, I never operated as I'm in love. You understand that? See, when you're in love, you live it. The girl will tell you that off the rip. Well, if you love it, you live it. You ain't gonna just be telling me you love me, and you ain't gonna be showing me, I don't see what you're doing. You gonna live this for me. And you be like, damn, I thought, well, maybe next time I just won't say I love you on the phone. Maybe I see you and bring some roses or something. You thought you were just saying, right? So when they over here, Jesus Christ, Lord of mercy, save me, Jesus Christ, Lord of mercy. You got to live your mercy. You got to live your mercy. Y'all understand? So okay, you got the doorway, kingly pillar, priestly pillar. By birthright, you're royal, right? And by the priestly right, you have to be a priest, because that means the priest is the first warrior, right? The priest is the first defender. That's why in China, the dragon, the serpent, the priests are Shaolin monks, but they're warriors. See, that didn't come from them, that came from us. You know what I'm saying? See, so what happened is when we started getting into spirituality under the European, he made us take away the warrior element. See, they didn't want us to understand the science here, like, because the priests don't play. See, because the priests know if I allow you to change this nature, it's going to have a perpetual effect in the future. So I'm allowing you to play with God's creation. Huh? So the priest said, oh no, I killed, crush, and destroy by that. Right? But now, you won't kill, crush, and destroy because you don't know your own nature, so you don't even know what to defend.
Right.
Right? So what happens is John the Baptist has been beheaded. Jesus represents the kingly pillar. John the Baptist is the priest.
Huh? Oh, not physically.
Huh?
Not physically.
Not physically. This is symbolic.
Okay, yeah.
Jesus represents the kingly pillar. John the Baptist represents the priest. Right. In the symbolical science.
Right.
So they represent the two pillars.
Right.
See, because they represent the doorway into the new tomorrow.
Yep.
John the Baptist is the paver of the way for the Christ. But the priest is the paver way of the Christ. But if you don't know your priest self, the Christ self ain't never coming. Because they will teach you to worship it, but they will will never teach you to generate the Christ essence. The priest is who carries the Ark of the Covenant and protects the power of God so that it manifests on earth. You understand that?
Right.
See, so, but if I cut the priest's head off, I cut the knowledge off, right? If I cut the priest's head off, I cut the knowledge off, then there's no paver of the way. So that the doorway is never open. The Ancient of Days can never come in. Right? Because if you know your priest right, you understand your seven chakras. You understand that the 7 chakras is the Kundalini energy which represents the serpent. Right? And that this serpentine energy can either empower you or deceive you. Because it can make you what you call degenerate your being because you keep operating it in a lower energy. Right? So you degenerate your being instead of regenerate your being. So when you regenerate your being, regeneration, that's what they call it, regeneration. So when you regenerate your being, you activate the 7 chakras. But the priest had to defend the being so that he could activate it. So now when the priest defends it and keeps the right mental thought so that the certain frequency can kick in. Right? So that when you activate these 7 chakras, the pineal and the pituitary, the pineal becomes activated. Meaning that the 6-layer jars, right, of water that are usually full with your emotional ignorance, emotional instability, right? The 6-layer jars, right? 6 chakras, right? That's your heart chakra. Remember, most people don't get their energy past their heart chakra. That's why I told you that most of you shit and still ball up. Because your energy is balled up right here. So your whole intestinal operation is balled up. You understand that? Because you're against your own nature. So most of the time, guess what? Listen now. See, because if you're an emotional being, that's water. Water can only rise 6,000 feet off the planet. You the earth. Right? You the earth. So your emotional energy can't go past the 6th chakra. An emotional being can't open the 6th chakra. At 6, the water must fall back down. And do what? Fertilize the earth. Because at that point in time, it's coming into the condensity of another atmosphere with the sun. In the gravitation pull, right? So your emotional nature should not have a pull back up to your higher nature. It should fall back down. You understand that? So at the 6th chakra level, the water must be turned to wine. And that is the marriage ceremony. Because the Christ consciousness produces its first miracle. Miracle is a word. Don't listen now. Take this word. Miracle. 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 What word you think about? Mirror. A miracle is a mirror. I ain't gonna say that because that's gonna mess it up. That's gonna take it too far. I ain't gonna do it. A miracle is a mirror. So what happens is a mirror means that let us create man in our image, in our likeness. And like all your life, you have never seen yourself until the first miracle happens. That's when you come to the mirror. That's when the 6-layer jars, the water has been turned to wine. And your 6th chakra, your 3rd eye, is open. And at that point in time, you come to face with the Ancient of Days. Your Alkhemist. Right? So the Kundalini energy, the serpentine energy, has been raised up. Right? Just as the Christ is raised up off the cross, so must Moses raise up the serpent in the desert. Huh? So the serpent is raised up by Moses, which symbolizes the mind. Right? Raising up the Kundalini energy to open the 6th chakra. That is your healing science. You understand it? That's the caduceus. That's the staff of Tahuti. That's the staff of wisdom. Right? And when the staff of wisdom is raised up, it is as above, so below. And that is equality. Because God created man supposedly on the 6th day, which means man was created in equality. Man was created in the image and the likeness of the Creator. So when the staff of Tahuti, which is wisdom, right? When wisdom comes to equality, that is 26. That's God. Right. So when your nature, which is your wisdom, your feminine principle, see, because your feminine principle can be deceived by the serpentine energy, right? It It can be deceived by the serpentine energy, or it could be a master of the serpentine energy. And when the serpentine energy is mastered and the 6 lead jars are turned to wine at the marriage ceremony, the pineal produces a white substance which is called milk that is transferred to the pituitary. And when it contacts with the pituitary, it causes the pituitary to produce a golden substance. In Buddhism, that's called the golden child. That's the word of God, the chrism, the sacred oil, the anointing. Right? You understand that? The anointing, the Meshach, the Messiah, the crocodile oil, because you're talking about the reptilian brain, the medulla oblongata. You're talking about your pineal pituitary, your hypothalamus and thyroid operating in a higher element, producing this golden substance that then is sent down your spinal column, which is called the river of Jordan. Roll, river Jordan, roll. So it's talking about this going down River Jordan and going into the sacred cave, which is the 26th dorsal, right? Or the 12th dorsal of the spinal column, and which is called the cave. And then in there, the seed is held for a certain amount of time. But if your stomach is acidic, right? If your nature is acidic, if your thought pattern is acidic, it will destroy the seed. But this seed is called Esau, the firstborn, because it is produced from, meaning it's a duality, meaning that from this seed, the seed goes here. This seed is then transferred and conditioned into another life form, right? So that's the second born. So the second born gets the birthright. Listen now, Esau is the firstborn, but his birthright is changed, is given to Jacob. Y'all with me? Yeah. Jacob represents Israel. Right? Because Jacob turns to Israel, but Israel is Ra, which is the sun, the 5-point star, which is the pineal, and Isis would represent the pituitary, which is the moon, the star and the moon, which is Islam, which is peace. So when the pineal and the pituitary, the marriage ceremony, when the two become as one on earth, and they produce this golden substance, they awake the divine being. But this seed must be regenerated back through the being, so that when it goes down your spinal column through your being, see, you're doing this under your moon cycles, and you're supposed to do this a certain amount of time, right? Because you are regenerating your being back to what they would call the X-Men generation, back to your super being. You understand that? And see, what happens is chemical reaction comes back up the spinal column, and when it comes back to the pineal gland, it is called El. So that means Isis, Ra, produces the El. So this becomes Israel. So at that point in time, you become what's called the house of Israel. So but really, it was originally called Het Heru. You were the house of the hero. But the science then was transferred on, and it became the house of Israel. So Israel wasn't a people, it was a nature. And there was a certain group of people that represented this nature. Then later on, people took it and they changed it from nation, tried to make it an ethnic group, and then we lost it in this terminology of Jews and all kind of Hebrew and Israelite, and then we forgot all about the science and we made it linear. You understand that? So when it became linear, it became a dead letter and nobody was able to decipher it. So then what happened is brothers who had claimed it, brothers say he Hebrew is Israelite. You're right, you're supposed to be Hebrew Israelite, because Hebrew means he who has crossed over, meaning you've crossed over from your lower nature to your higher nature. You understand that? That means you have activated the Israel. You have activated your third eye. You produced the God essence, which is called El, right? You were El, right? So this is what happens. So we say, well, brother, if you say you Israel, you Israel. Brother, if you say you a Sa'aset, you a Sa'aset. Brother, if you say you Nation of Islam, you Nation of Islam. Brother, if you say you Moorish Science Temple, you Moorish Science Temple. Because within all of them is the very same science of you as being the living temple or you being the craft. And in all of those lessons and everything, all they're talking about is know thyself. That's all it is. And when you get down to it by know thyself, then it's going to take you to a thing where y'all will eventually start understanding that this is where we have to go at.
What's the name of it?
Soul psychology.
Yeah, I think
And I say that because that's placing you in what would be called considered God consciousness. God consciousness. And that's how you set yourself free. That's how you heal yourself. By learning that science and applying that science to life. You know what I'm saying? Y'all with me? So, okay, well, pineal pituitary, milk and honey, black land, Alkhemist produces ureus, serpentine energy, right? So the serpent that's supposed to have deceived Eve, we know that Eve is matter, and we know that Adam represents atom. So we know that really the serpent that deceived the Eve is a sign telling you that if you don't understand, your serpentine energy can deceive your physical nature. You see what I'm saying? And our ancestors taught us how not to be deceived by serpentine energy, but to rather be masters of it. And that's why the Christ consciousness said, be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. You understand that? See, because if you're harmless as a dove, don't mean that you're peaceful. It means that your heart is not weighed down by this, because the dove represented you was at peace. And if you're at peace, that means that the kingly pillar and the priestly pillar have come together at that one keystone point that's called shalom. That's why above the doorway is the keystone that's called shalom, which means peace, right? But you never experience peace until the kingly pillar and the priestly pillar come together. Meaning that you cannot teach a people about a history of being kings and queens and never teach them about their priestly right and that the science of their temple must be applied. Y'all over that? So now when you over that, you put them two together, you enter into the doorway of yourself. And that's the journey in which we take brothers and sisters on, is coming into the knowledge of themselves. Then they become what you consider a black messiah, a savior. Because when they say they're a savior, 7 chakras plus 12 melanated centers, 7 plus 12 equals 19. 19 is actually, the 19th letter is S, self-savior. So at that point in time, we teach people to become self-saviors. You understand? And once they learn that, then they can apply that to their life, teach it to their family, teach it to their community, and they change and cultivate the thought pattern. And once you change and cultivate the thought pattern, you change the frequency in your neighborhood. Imagine if all the brothers and sisters started doing this in the neighborhood. Will we ever have war? Will we have war amongst ourselves if I recognize the God in you? Never. If I understand our purpose together is to liberate and raise this nation, if I understand how serious and what real it is, would we ever have war?
Yes. Not with each other.
Yeah,
And the only time we have war is what?
You don't have the understanding. If we don't have the understanding, but you have it, because we have to view it from your advantage. We have to understand the views from your advantage. And if we don't have the understanding, then it's war.
There's going to always be war. So in the neighborhood, our people have taught the concept of another person's advantage to perceive life. So guess what? They don't think you for them. You know when you go to a brother with consciousness, what happens?
You call you crazy.
Man, you tripping, man. That shit ain't for me.
He is tripping, y'all. Don't feel it.
Then guess what they say? When we see you, well, you know so-and-so, you know you kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? See? So now, the Matrix has made you crazy. So the people at that point in time become agents of the Matrix. And I tell brothers and sisters that, you know, in the movie Matrix, what happens? Everywhere they went at, somebody had the potential to turn into the agent, right? When you see them do that, you say, oh shit. So when you see that in life, you see them when you go to drop jewels on them, they go to change it, act like, well, I ain't with that. So you know right there they became an agent of the Matrix. The programming, they have not been unplugged, right? So then you start recognizing people who plugged and who unplugged, right? With that, brothers and sisters, I like to say, I hope y'all be able to understand the science and read and study. Because none of this don't make no sense if you're not reading and studying. Because guess what? Then we can't go in no books. We can't go into nothing. So really what I did is give you a breakdown again from last week with just a certain amount of knowledge to really make you think about what's the science of our healing and what we need. You know what I'm saying? Where our minds got to be at to really understand what we educating for. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're going to say we're going to be out here and we challenge and we want to change this and that, then we have to understand that guess what? We have to administrate the healing, so we have to know how to be healers. We have to know what our people, where our people are healed at, what these people have done to us, what they have cut us off from. Right? So then when we learn it, then we start trying to find ways to incorporate it back into our culture, back into our lifestyle, right? So when you come and find some ways that work good for you, that might have been difficult, and we say, Karen, you learn that, we have to document that. So we said, that's what, so-and-so said she did this, and it started working, and while she did it with her son, it started something different, right? Right? So then we document it. So then what happens is we become a community that document what? Ways of what? Activating our community. Somebody got to be the scientist, somebody got to do the research, somebody got to do it. Anytime the enemy wants to develop something, they send their researchers out and they put it to work, right? So that's what we have to do the same thing. So that's what you call it to do here. With that, we called the Prime Minister up, Messiah Edward, and any questions?
Oh, I told you that.
Go ahead. Anybody? Go ahead, bro.
You had mentioned that that serpent portion. I'm gonna deal with that myself. But you had mentioned that the energy or the molecular energy once it's broken. The neutrons. Once it's at a form, it's speeding, but once it slows down, it becomes matter. How is it that the serpent?
The serpentine represents the spiral form.
Yeah.
And the spiral represents the electromagnetical field of the being.
Okay.
And really your electromagnetical field is spiraling around what?
You. It's spiraling around.
All right, let's do this. Let's say this. Because it's a perception now. Let's look at this. Let's say I take the pole or the rod, and I take the copper and all that, and you run electricity around it, and then boom, it becomes a conductor, right? All right, but it's spinning around this rod, right? The rod is a rod of iron, right? And you shall rule him with a rod of iron, right? What's the mathematics of the element iron? Fe. Fe. What is it? Huh? It's 26, bro. The electromagnetic field is only your consciousness.
26 vertebrae.
Iron, the mathematics, the astronomical number for iron, the element iron is 26. It's 26. 26 is the number of God. You shall rule him with a rod of iron. Really, it's the consciousness of God. See, everything, the only thing that's spiraling is the consciousness of God. Remember, the spirit. Astronomical energy is energy that neither be destroyed nor created. Right? See, I mean, what happens is, I'll say this, and so we can get it. You have your mind. Let me say this. You have 3 brains. I'll try to put it like that so you can get it. All right? 3 brains. You got your mind, you got your brain, you got your heart. Listen now. Your mind, if let's say the brain and the heart on the scale, correct? The mind represents the rod in which the balance is supposed to be based on. I'm trying to put it in the right perspective so you can see it. So your mind triggers a reality in your brain. Your brain produces a chemical reality, and your heart holds judgment in your being. You understand it? Y'all kind of with me? So the heart represents Amit. Y'all kind of with me? So the heart represents Amit. But the functions of each one of these are simulated around what? The functions of these 2 of the brain and the heart are simulated around the mind. See, the mind is not perception. The mind, when we say consciousness, there's a consciousness past what we consider our regular mind. There's that no thing, that no self, that has no identification with nothing because it is the all. There's a part of you that is the essence of the all. And circling around that essence, that reality is your consciousness, formulating and creating. You understand that?
Right.
So that's your spiraling force. And that is the movement of energy, because energy is energy and motion or emotions, because emotions ain't even nothing but energy and motion, right? So what is energy and motion? Nothing but your thoughts. Correct? Right. So your emotional nature, everything evolves, well that's elements, everything evolves in the electromagnetic field, the electrical structure, when it becomes molecular structure, all evolves around the conscious being. So that's the stimulated force that produces the electromagnetic field. So that's intelligence, because intelligence knows that it's supposed to create life, produce life, right? Because it is constantly birthing. So what happens is, that's your triple darkness, that's your abyss. So out of that is constantly birthing life. And that essence of life is constantly the electromagnetic field that is the particle holder of all things. It's intelligence. So everything is operating in that intelligence. Now, the perception of what we perceive intelligence then becomes another life within the life. Y'all got what I'm saying? So that's how in life you can kind of get trapped in the illusions of life. I don't know if y'all thought that. I just try to.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying because we got buildings and streets and roads and everything, and this all comes from intellect.
Right.
The
Just like
man
computers.
sitting down and structuring the whole civilization for itself.
Yeah.
So everything is a start. That's right.
Computers are on and off, so zeros and ones. Your binary structure of your being is zeros and ones. The DNA structure of you is the same as in nature.
Yeah, so let me everything.
And that's, if you get the book Ancient Futures, matter of fact, the best book to get for your question and for just getting deeper into that science, especially if you want questions about the photon belt, where we entered into, is Ancient Futures.
Ancient Futures.
By Wayne B. Chandler. Matter of fact, he's in Atlanta too. And I gotta say this. I'm trying to talk with Beverly and them about why we got the support of the city too, is that we want to start a series of programs called Healing Arts. You know what I'm saying? And we want to kind of do some programs where if we do let preachers come, that we let them know that you can't come in here and just preach a Bible verse and say faith. We are talking about healing art. So you have to come with some science. So if you say you can lay hands on, you have to come break this down for all of us how we can lay hands on. You see what I'm saying? Don't come in here. We want to know some science, some psychology. That's what we want. So what we want to do is start a series of programs and invite speakers to come down to start initiating our community into healing. You see what I'm saying? Like sisters like Dr. Jewel. We already got a sister scheduled for October the 29th. Her sister name is Akua Gray. Go on Facebook. Her name is AKUA Gray. We already scheduled her for October the 29th. So, and she's dealing with the sacred divine woman and holistic sexuality, divine sexuality. You know, sex is a big problem. For everything. Most men, even if you think you're divine, you start trying to get your God conscious, sometimes your sexual nature make you think about yourself in another way. Man, that sex thing kind of, you know, I can do the God thing, but, you know, this sex thing kind of throw you off. And?
Unless it's sacred. Unless it's sacred.
I mean, it throws you off now. Based on your perception of it, right? Based on what you try to get out of it. See, sometimes you be in that mode, you be like, well, fuck all this dog shit. If you talk that, you gonna throw the vibe off, right? That's just the reality, man. But let me tell you this. Let me say this to you. So I say this to you so you kind of catch your understanding of this. Even sex is just like eating. At one time you ate swine, pork, and you ate the meat of a slave. But then you learn that there was a higher dietary plan, right? So then what happens is, even in sexuality, you understand that your frequency and the operation of that even goes to a higher nature. And when you understand that, then you experience higher things. Y'all can understand that? So everything has an evolutionary rise. So we invite that sister to kind of help lift the consciousness, because I like what Bobby Hemming says. Anything that holds you in fear or holds you in doubt, see, those is chains that you have to break, and you have to just go ahead and be open about it and make the people set themselves free from being afraid about that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, hotel. Come on up. We are looking for help to create the programs. We are looking for ideas. We are looking for themes. We are looking for people to speak, sing, perform, show some of their arts, things that they've tried. We're looking for all of that.
Another good video. Another great, excellent.
Let's see, did we make it? Damn, well, we didn't make it at 10 o'clock. Got 9:30. That's good.
Kiss news.
Yes, sir.
Everybody feel good? Everybody feel motivated?
Yes.
Motivated. Okay, that's good. That's always something part of it. Because it's not here for motivation. It's here for empowerment also. So it's like the knowledge and the wisdom. You got to apply it. You got to get that motivation. You got to get that energy, keep that fire going. and apply it to build. It's not to tear anybody down, because we're going to build with love. See, when you build with love, anything that's out of hate, it's going to fall down anyway. So, keep that fight. Yes, brother.
I miss y'all. I've been missing the action for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? I see we got a lot of new faces here. Glad to see all the earths and all the new gods in the building. I'm BARNARD, aka Black. Everybody call me Black. And y'all want to share something with y'all. Since I've been gone, I've been doing a lot of my own research, my own studying, you know what I'm saying, building myself up. And I came across a dude, I shared this with B, dude named Infinite Waters. YouTube.
Diving deep.
Look him up. He done helped me so much. It's all about, we are gods, we are creators of our own reality. This is the universe, that's the universe, that's the universe, that's the universe, that's the universe. Nobody thinks for you besides you. Nobody feels the feelings you feel besides you. Those are two things that create your reality. You are the way you feel and think. And something that helped me along my journey is I lost myself because we're not taught how to control our feelings or how to control what we think. And remember, like I said, you are what you feel and think. You got to manifest your own reality just by how you think. You think it, you create it. Your thoughts are frequencies. Your thoughts are real. But don't let your thoughts confuse you. Because our feelings, like I said, your waters, when they're right in your mindset, your sixth chakra, that's when you flood your mind and you can't think when your emotions in the way. So control your feelings, control your thoughts, and create the way you want to live.
I'm not square, 360 out of 9. I'm born. I am that I am.
I am that I am.
I am love.
I am love.
I am life.
I am life.
I am light.
I am life.
I am liberation.
I am liberation.
I am that I am.
I am that I am.
I am love.
I am love.
I am life.
I am life.
I am light.
I am light.
I am liberation.
I am liberation.
I am that I am.
I am that I am.
I am love.
I am love.
I am life.
I am life.
I am light.
I am light.
I am liberation.
I am liberation.
I am the soulful.
I am the soulful.
I am the Black Messiah.
I am the Black Messiah.
Ashe.
Ashe.
So clean. I need peace in a time of war. Peace in a time of war.